Let's talk about sex parties. Hey love, my name is Magda K and welcome to my channel. I am intimacy expert, tantra teacher and a relationships coach, and here I share all the tips, insights and ideas to help you enjoy the most amazing intimate life. And today we're going to talk about sex parties. Anytime I bring it up with people, they're always so curious. I even recently had a friend ask me, are they real or is it just like some fantasy? So I thought I'm gonna make a whole video to talk to you about sex parties. And yes, they are totally real. So, my love, I'm going to share with you different things to help you prepare if you are about to attend your first one, or if you're just curious what it's all about. This is going to be a beautiful, perfect guide for you. And I want to start by saying that, of course, there are many different types of these events. Because of how I look at sexuality, the ones that I've attended and organized, they are tantric, conscious sex party. I've been to conscious kink parties as well. By conscious, I mean that people are trained in some way or another in the art of sacred sexuality in Tantra. I mean that there's no alcohol and no drugs. And I mean that boundaries or consent are #1 priority. Now, you're totally gonna have sex parties that do not honor any of these. People are drunk, they take drugs, they just join, they don't ask if it's okay. That happens too. It's not my thing. I would not want to attend one of those events, but they absolutely exist. And ultimately, it's up to you to see and decide which type of space you'd like to be in. Now, this video will mostly focus on those conscious events, but a lot of what I say will apply to the space anyways. Or what you can also do is, no matter how the event is organized, you can still use the tips that I'll be sharing to make this experience the best for you. Okay, so how do these parties really look like? Let's look at some logistics. So first of all, usually you rent out a beautiful big villa for the event. It's secluded, so you can have your full privacy. And you'll have different spaces, different areas. So there will be a space where you can just connect with someone and talk. There may be space for meditation if you get triggered and just want to process something. There'll be another space for a massage or for cuddles. And there will be a dedicated space for penetration. So usually this is, people try to kind of honor the fact that you will be on the journey and you may feel super open and very comfortable, but you also may not too. So no matter where you are in your experience of the party, you will find a little location, a little space where you can be taken care of. Then, of course, the mood is set up, so the villa is beautifully decorated. You have all the lovely lights and the music, and often there are toys provided. There will be some drinks, sometimes some food, so all of this will be there as well. There is a dress code because it's a sex party, so it's really nice if you can dress up in some sexy lingerie or some kinky outfit. It really helps to be in the mood. Those parties are usually around 30 people, but of course there can be less and more. I've attended parties that had even 80 people, but just kind of on average, if you're not really sure what to expect, usually it will be around 30 people, and they do make an effort to keep the number of men and women even. What it also means is, now most of these events are paid, so what it means is that a single woman will usually pay cheaper, and if you're a single man, your ticket will usually be more expensive. Again, you're going to pay less if you're coming with someone as a couple. Now, I know this may feel unfair, but it's basically to make sure that this party doesn't turn into like 25 horny and excited men and just 5 women. Because it is absolutely important to keep those numbers even, or if anything, to have more women than men. Regarding safety and STI, so some parties actually require you to have a proof that you've been tested and that everything is okay before you attend. Others, not necessary, and then it's just kind of, trusting each other what we say. Most of those parties do provide condoms, but I think it's a great idea to have your own, just to make sure you never run out of them, because that can also happen. And again, if you need lube, you can take it. If you have your own toys, you can bring them, although most of these parties will have a lot of toys provided. Now, especially if it's your first one, if you're new to that type of space, for these parties, usually someone will talk to you, they'll ask you questions, they'll try to understand if you will feel good in that space. Because ultimately, those parties are created by the participants. Every party I've been to has been very, very different because of the people. So it's really important that the majority of people in the space are people with experience in sex parties and also who feel very comfortable. Because if you have like 30 people who have never done this before and everyone is shy, it's going to be really difficult to get it started. So again, organizers try to balance this, have a few newbies, but also have a lot of like experienced tantric people so they can kind of lead and guide the energy. And so, yes, most likely they will talk to you, they'll ask you some questions, they'll explain the rules, they'll try to feel into you if it's going to be a good match. And if it ever happens that they will tell you later that they don't think it's a good idea for you to attend, ask them why they think that. And they may actually give you really good feedback on what you may focus on. So just to give you an example, there was this one party that I was organizing, and this couple came to us wanting to attend because they've been going through a lot of issues in their relationship, and they're hoping that that experience of a sex party would be something that brings them together. And we actually spoke to that couple explaining that spaces like this, they can be extremely triggering. And in fact, instead of bringing them closer together, they can just explode even more. So this was not recommended for this couple. We spoke to them, we explained why, and they went through the work to come closer together. And when they healed some of their issues and wounds, then a few months later, they did attend a party and then they had a great time. Now, lastly, if it is a conscious event, it's really considered to be an event. So we have a container that we really want to take care of. That means that there is an opening circle and there's a certain ceremony and a workshop part, which I'll speak to you about in a moment, and then there's closing. And honestly, even if you don't really work with energies and you're not into Tantra, you will feel the difference if there are people just coming in and out throughout the night. So the general rule is that everyone needs to arrive until a certain time, and once the space is open, you cannot enter anymore. Now, no one is going to force you to stay until the end if you want to leave earlier, but again, it is recommended to stay until the end. There is a beautiful closing ceremony, a sharing circle, so if anything came up for you, any triggers, you'll have space to actually share this and process that. So, like I mentioned, those parties, they start with sort of like a workshop part. And this is the practical part where all the participants are taken through different techniques and exercises and games to help break the ice. Because, you can be really experienced with sex parties and still when you land in a villa with everyone else, it can get awkward. I've been to a party, in fact, my very first sex party was like this, and everyone was sitting around just so what to do now? So it's really helpful when there is this kind of workshop introduction. So what we do in this time is you get to know people, speak to them, kind of tune into them. If you like someone, ask them questions. You get to express what it is that you really hope to experience during this night. And what maybe triggers you? What may be some things that make you feel uncomfortable? It really helps to just voice it out and share with other people. You'll discover you're not the only one who feels nervous. Then you're gonna do a lot of practices to bring playfulness into the space, to start touching each other, so break this barrier of touch so that later connection is more easy and more natural. And you will be going through practices around asking for consent and expressing your yes, your no, expressing your boundaries. That is really, really important. So there will be a big part, a big chunk of that introduction is for you to know specific techniques, to ask for consent, and also to say yes or no yourself. And then lastly, how to receive a no, because we also need to work on being able to welcome someone's boundary without feeling triggered or offended. So that is a huge part for those parties, and it does happen. You are guided through this at the beginning. And then once you go through all of this, then it's free flow. You get to do whatever you want in the space. Now, that can feel scary. So now is the time when you're meant to approach someone and you should probably have sex. Well, so let's talk about it. The most important thing that people assume is that sex parties are all about sex. And in fact, that maybe you're expected to have sex, that if you're not having sex with anyone, that maybe someone will come up to you and tell you like, hey, what are you doing? Go and have sex with someone. So absolutely, there is no pressure nor expectation for you to engage sexually with anyone in that space. A sex party is a place where you can have sex with other people. You do not have to. So I've been to parties where for about 40 people, one couple had penetration. I've been in spaces where for 80 people, half people piled up in this beautiful space in the living room, having sex and moaning and screaming. Both were beautiful. You get to choose how you want to experience your sex party. You may choose just to kind of hang out with someone, maybe have little conversations, even though, again, in this space, it's not fully encouraged to go into deep conversations, so it can be something more quiet and gentle. You can also just be with someone and enjoy touch, just giving each other massages, playing with the hair, feeding each other fruit, absolutely okay. You can be open for touching, you can be open for kissing, or you may go into energy sex. But you may choose not to go to penetration. It's absolutely okay. So remember, you are not expected to have sex. Now, also what I want to speak about is how do you approach someone when you don't want to have sex or if you want to engage with someone. So this is of course going to be more difficult for men because it's a bit expected that a man will be approaching a woman, and also because for women, if we ever feel uncomfortable, it's so easy just to kind of come close to another woman and play together, just laugh together, be sensual together. But for a man, this may feel a bit more awkward. So oftentimes people think of, oh my God, how do I come to this person and say that I like them and that I would like to connect? So a really good strategy for approaching people is forget for a moment what it is that you want from them and instead ask them if there's anything you could do for them. So for example, you could come up to a woman or a man and just ask them, you're so beautiful, could I give you a massage? Or you can suggest that you would love to feed them some fruit. And you can start your connection like this and then see if the person opens up to go even more and even deeper with you. And if they don't, you still had a lovely intimate space with someone. Now, another thing, and I mentioned this, but this is like probably the most important aspect of these conscious sex parties, is honoring each other's boundaries. So this is like the most important rule when you attend those parties. Always ask for consent. So if there's someone you like, you can approach them and you ask them if they're open to connect with you. You don't ever just come and start touching someone. That's a huge no. Now, if you see a group of people engaging, it may be easy to assume, oh yeah, it's like a, gangbang, let's just jump in. Again, it's a no. Even if it's 10 people there, even if you see other people joining, don't. You always want to ask for consent. So you can come closer to the group, kind of look at someone and maybe get eye contact with one person and ask them, is it okay if I join? And only then join. Even when you look at someone, you're actually stealing their energy. You're crossing their boundaries. So also ask for consent. So if there is a couple, for example, having sex, if they're like in the middle of the room, then they want to be looked at. But if they're in a room or in a corner, that they want some privacy. So in this case, do check in if it's okay. And if you don't know how to check in, then just move on and find another sweet thing to do in this event. And another cute thing around wanting to watch someone. So I've heard about this, it happened to my friend, and it's honestly so sexy. If you find someone that you fancy, you can come up to them and just say, I find you very attractive. Is it okay if I look at you throughout the event? Oof. That's so beautiful. And you may get a yes, you may get a no, but just asking for that, like expressing how you feel about them, that you find them attractive, and you're not really trying to get from them too much. You're just asking if you can look. Trust me, already things like this can add so much juiciness to this experience. Often people think that asking for consent, that kills the moment, but if you know how to do it, if you really feel the energy, you can spice things up. Okay, now another thing I want to touch on is that if it's your first party, or even the second, or the third, or even the 20th, you will probably feel nervous. And darling, yeah, that's normal. These are pretty scary events. It's way outside of our comfort zone to go to a sex party. So what can you do about this? What can you do to ease this whole entry into the world of sex parties? Well, first of all, just remember it's a scary thing, okay? Like anything else that's outside of your comfort zone doesn't feel all that easy in your body, that is going to be the same. So just understanding, hey, I'm doing something really scary and I'm deciding to do it no matter what, like that will be already helpful. For me, the very first sex party, yeah, I was nervous. I was like thinking, maybe I will not go. I was trying to find some excuse, but then I would tell myself, Magda, think of it as market research. Like you have to know what happens in sex parties because that's what you teach. Like literally that's part of your work. So I was repeating that story in my head and that helped me actually decide, okay, I'm showing up, I'm going. So remember, you're gonna have an amazing experience or at least a great story to tell. But now, on a more practical level, what helps is to go to those parties with someone. This can be your partner, this can be your lover, this also can be your friend, even though you will not be engaging intimately with them. So having someone there, just helps, knowing that if anything happens, you have their support. And you can even set up a safe word or a certain gesture, a symbol, that if you show it to each other, that means, okay, I really need support, please come and be with me. It really helps if you dress up, like I said before. And this is actually interesting in a few ways. So first of all, it is a party. And when you dress up, when you're part of the flow, you really feel more playful. Like you're not an observer, which can happen in these spaces if you feel kind of like you don't belong. So through dressing up, you feel more like you are part of the whole experience. And secondly, actually, having these slutty, sexy clothes, being half naked, makes it more available for people to approach you. So think about it. When you normally have sex with someone, there is this moment of having to undress your partner. That's like extra work. If you're in a sex party and someone wears normal clothes, it's like a sign to other people that I'm not really ready to engage. And especially this works for men because men find it a bit more difficult to find some cute, sexy outfits. But I can tell you from experience that for me, if I see a man who is dressed in normal clothes and man who's, for example, just in boxers, like I feel like I'm more welcome by the second one. It feels like he has already opened his energy. So again, if you dress up, it will also help with this nervousness and it will help you throughout the party. And the last thing, and that's for men, it may absolutely happen that you will not be able to get an erection during the party. And once again, it's so okay and so normal. Most of the men that I know of who do go to sex parties, they had this experience for their first party and sometimes again in the future. Like it is a lot of pressure. What are you expecting, Just like for me as a woman, it may be hard to get wet just like this, with a stranger. Don't expect from your body to do something crazy that normally it wouldn't feel comfortable doing. So if you go for the party and you would like to engage, but simply he's not on board, don't feel bad, just enjoy all of the other ways of connection. And the last thing I want to share with you about preparing for those parties is to do a little practice called desires, fears, and boundaries. It is how it sounds. You share about what it is that you really want to experience at this party, what scares you about attending, and what your boundaries are. Now, if you're going with your partner to that party, you want to do it together. Okay, super, super important because like I mentioned, these events can be very triggering. You want this event to bring you guys closer together, explore more fun, not to get triggered and then feel really scared about the future of your relationship. So you share with your partner, what would you love to experience, what scares you, and what your boundaries are. And both of you share this. Now, if you're going with a friend, also do this sharing. Even though you're not planning on interacting, it's really good to know where you both of you are. And also, if you're going as a single person because your partner stays home, you do want to do this practice with your partner at home so that they can feel safe and confident about you attending. Which, by the way, already gives you an insight that if you're with a partner and they're not into you, you can totally go by yourself. Just make sure you discuss this with your partner before so they know that you're not going to cross the line. And if you are single and going as single just to have fun, do this exercise with yourself. Again, sharing what it is that you would love to experience at this night and what you are scared of, and then what your boundaries are. So my love, these are all of my tips and insights about sex parties, and I really, really hope that you get to experience your first one and maybe way more to come. They are honestly lots of fun, really beautiful. They really help you normalize sex, being around people who are having sex next to you, being in this energy. That experience is honestly beautiful and healing. And remember, absolutely honor your boundaries. You don't have to engage with anyone. You can spend the whole evening by yourself, just being in the energy and in the space. That's totally fine. I've done this. You get to choose what your experience is, but in any case, it will be really adding so much value, depth, and experience to your intimate life. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and I would love to hear from you. So make sure to comment below. Have you attended a sex party? Would you like to attend a sex party? And if you do, what are your desires for that party? What are your fears and what are your boundaries? I'd love to hear from you, so make sure to comment below. And darling, if you did like this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like more videos like this. I love, love, love seeing your comments and your likes. It's a beautiful motivation for me to keep recording these videos for you. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.